In 1975, BMW launched a new model, a compact sedan that would redefine the segment with class-leading dynamics and go on to become a legend. 50 years, 7 generations, 20 million sold. The BMW 3 Series isn't just a car, it's the benchmark. It's the car that changed everything and built BMW's reputation from the ground up. From DTM glory and Nürburgring endurance wins to commutes, road trips and first loves, the 3 Series has been part of our lives for half a century. This isn't just BMW's legacy, it's mine too. My automotive journey started with a second-hand E46. It took me everywhere and it led me right here. This is a story of the ultimate driving machine. This is 50 years of the BMW 3 Series. I'm Pat and welcome to 2PJZ. (1975), the oil crisis had just shaken the world and BMW needed something new. Enter this, the E21. It was light, rear-wheel drive, manual, and most of all, fun. The E21 proves BMW could build a car that was compact, efficient, and still thrilling to drive. In Australia, we got the ultra-rare 323i JPS, a black and gold tribute to motorsport that looked like it had just rolled off the racetrack. Then came the E30, a sharper, more refined evolution. It added 4 doors, wagons, and even all-wheel drive, but kept the same heart. By 1986, it became a legend with one simple badge, M3. They built it to go racing, but to enter Group A, they had to sell a minimum of 5,000 road cars. And so, they did. What they intended was a homologation special, but what they created was a motorsport icon. Box flares, custom suspension, the S14 4-cylinder screaming past 7,000 RPM. It won more than 1,500 races. It became the most successful touring car of all time. From DTM to BTCC to the Nürburgring 24, the E30 M3 didn't just compete, it dominated. And in doing so, it made the M badge a symbol of winning. Every gear shift is mechanical in this thing. And then every corner you tip it into it's just a conversation. This is not just a car. This is a dance partner. The E30 had proven the formula, but the world was changing, and so was BMW's audience. The 90s demanded a new kind of M3, more refined, more global, but still thrilling. Each new M3 reflected its time, but they all shared the same goal, to be the driver's choice. This one sometimes gets overlooked, but the E36 M3 was the first truly global M3. BMW gave this a refined inline-six, rear multi-link suspension, and a bit more of a grown-up character. This is not your average E36. This particular car is a E36 M3R, an Australian exclusive homologation special. This has the S50 B30 that makes around 322 horsepower, but this is a homologation special. So all the extra aero that you see on the car, everything inside the car is properly built for CAM's Group 3A racing. It's the sort of car that doesn't really need to shout at you. It more so speaks very softly, but when it does talk to you, you have to listen. The E36 matured the M3, but the E46 brought back the edge, and then some. This, to me, is peak M. The E46 M3 CSL was built by fanatics for fanatics. A carbon roof, thinner glass, no sound deadening, and 360 horsepower from the S54. This is a true race car for the road. The CSL came with the SMG, BMW's sequential manual gearbox. This is quite an important bit of tech that, although divisive, really paved the way for the dual clutch transmissions that we see in the F80 and the G80 M3. This is for me the peak M car. This, when you think of BMW M, in my mind, the CSL is the image that pops up. If not the E30 M3, it's the CSL. This is everything that I love about BMW. It's lightweight, stripped back, raw, aggressive, naturally aspirated power and precision. This was a car that was built by people who loved cars for the purpose of driving cars that they loved. That's why they built the CSL, and I'm driving it. It rattles, it roars, it begs to be driven hard, and when you do, it becomes a memory you'll never forget. I didn't just drive my E46, I learnt in it. It taught me how to read the road, how to feel the car come alive underneath you. Then BMW did something unexpected. They put a V8 in it, and it changed the game. And this is the outlier, the E90 M3. It was the only V8 M3 ever produced. The S65 was based on BMW's F1 derived V10, shrunk down to 4 litres and 414 horsepower. And the best part, it revs to 8,400 RPM. The E9X platform, the E90, the sedan, the E92, the coupe, and the E93, the convertible. This platform represents a symphony that BMW never replicated. Manual gearbox, V8 powered M3, and no turbos. After this, the F80, everything changed. We entered the new era of automotive engineering. So this car represents a very special place in automotive history where you still had a raw, emotional, fun, engaging driver's car. You could get it in a sedan, coupe or convertible, and while heavy on paper, behind the wheel it feels anything but. This is my first time driving an E90, and it makes me remember what analog feels like, before the screens, before the algorithms, just you and the road. The V8 was a swan song, a glorious final breath before the turbo age. But if the E90 was theatre, the F80 was artillery. The F80 M3 had 425 horsepower from its inline twin-turbo 6 and torque like a freight train. This car introduced things like electric power steering, a dual clutch gearbox. This car thankfully still has a manual, which is awesome, and it is actually the last F80 M3 to ever be produced for Australia with a manual transmission. This generation really split the fan base right down the middle. People either loved the fact that this went to a turbo or absolutely hated it, because before this, obviously, all the other M cars that we've driven were all naturally aspirated, as was the ethos at the time. But I don't think it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all when you could have all that power, the turbo kick, the torque. Why wouldn't you want that in a modern car? If you want naturally aspirated, the E90 feels just as good as this does inside, having literally just got out of that 5 minutes ago. It doesn't have the scream, but it has fury, and once you learn to trust it, it's lethal. But BMW had one more surprise left. It's the biggest, the heaviest, the most controversial. By the time the G80 arrived, the world was digital. All-wheel drive was, at this point, expected. But when you're behind the wheel, none of that matters, because it still feels like an M3. This is the M3 for the digital age. The G80 is the first M3 with all-wheel drive, customizable everything, over 500 horsepower and 0 to 100 in 3.5 seconds. I've driven a lot of cars over my time, and I've actually owned more cars than years that I've been alive on this planet. But there's one that I keep coming back to, and that is the BMW 3 Series. This has been a total whirlwind for me, like as a lifelong BMW fan. To drive every single M3 back to back to back 7 times over has been the stuff that you literally only ever dream about. So a massive thank you to all of the owners and BMW Drivers Club Melbourne for helping me organise this. My favourite probably was the E36 M3R. That just felt awesome. I loved how that car drove. But the E30 M3, of course, for that value of meeting your heroes, it just doesn't really get much better than that. Not every 3 Series wore an M badge, but they all shared the same DNA. And while the M3s made the headlines, these are the cars that built BMW's reputation every single day. The 323i JPS edition, built to celebrate Australian motorsport dreams, black and gold, rear-wheel drive, and pure BMW. The Alpina C1 2.3, one of only 6 delivered to Australia and built for the passionate few who wanted that little bit more. And with this generation, the E30 came the first time that BMW added a bit of variety to the range. This year is a Touring. We didn't get these in Australia. This car came from the UK, but it was a sign that BMW knew they needed to add a little bit more in their 3 Series offering. And speaking of variety, the E30 also came in this, the Bauer variant, which was half coupe, half convertible if you wanted open air driving with a slight twist. The 90s, a new decade. And BMW wanted to show the world that fun can also come in much smaller packages. Here we have the 318 Ti Compact Sport. Rear-wheel drive, hot hatch attitude, but just shrunk for the suburbs. And seeing as BMW turned the 3 Series into a race car, if you loved racing, you could build it yourself, like this 318i BTCC Tribute. By the early 2000s, the E46 generation refined everything. And if you had a family, the 330i Touring gave you power, practicality, and style before SUVs ruled the roads. The E46 also saw a compact variant, just like the E36, except this one had a completely different front end to the rest of the E46 generation. The rear end of the compact was also completely redesigned, and you can see looking at the back of these cars just how small they are, especially when you compare it to something like the E46 M3. The world moved on, diesel became king, and this, the 330d, delivered. Endless torque, huge range, but still wrapped in the same BMW precision. The E9X 3 Series was the last generation to blend old school driving soul with new age technology before we jumped to the turbocharged era. And when turbocharging did take over, the F30 340i packed 320 horsepower into a polished sedan. This was quietly faster than all of the legends that came before it. And then we arrive at where we are today with the 330e, which blends 2 worlds, petrol and electric. This is efficiency, without forgetting why we fell in love with driving in the first place. It's easy to think that the story ends with the M cars, but for every M3 that lit up the magazines, there's an E46 sedan that's been used and well loved. A 330i Touring that might have taken your family on a holiday, or a couple of compacts that you might have used for your commute to work and back. The 3 Series didn't just dominate racetracks, but it dominated real life. And that's why, for so many of us, the 3 Series is more than just a car. It's a chapter in all of our stories. The Touring redefined practicality. The 325IS showed you could have performance without the motorsport badge. These early 3 Series shaped a movement, not solely a model line. Because this wasn't built to win specs wars, it was built to feel right. And now, the next chapter is coming. The world is changing. EVs, autonomy, AI, but whatever powers the next M3, it'll need to pass one test. Does it make you feel something behind the wheel? 50 years, 7 generations, one name. BMW 3 Series. Thank you to BMW Australia, BMW Drivers Club Melbourne, and every owner who helped make this piece possible. This is for you. This is for us. This is for everyone who still believes driving matters.